At the dawn of the Clone Wars, one event that could have changed the course of the war was Count Dooku's offer for Obi-Wan Kenobi to join him. What if Obi-Wan joined Dooku, and in doing so, convinced the majority of the Jedi to do so as well? Today I'll be presenting an alternative history where the Jedi served the Confederacy against the Republic.
It's a great pity that our paths have never crossed before, Obi-Wan. Qui-Gon always spoke very highly of you. I wish he were still alive. I could use his help right now.
Qui-Gon Jinn would never join you.
Don't be so sure, my young Jedi. You forget that he was once my apprentice, just as you were once his. He knew all about the corruption in the Senate, but he would never have gone along with it if he had learned the truth as I have.
The truth?
The truth. What if I told you that the Republic was now under the control of the Dark Lord of the Sith?
No, that's not possible. The Jedi would be aware of it.
The dark side of the Force has clouded their vision, my friend. Hundreds of senators are now under the influence of a Sith Lord called Darth Sidious.
I don't believe you.
The Viceroy of the Trade Federation was once in league with this Darth Sidious. But he was betrayed 10 years ago by the Dark Lord. He came to me for help. He told me everything. You must join me, Obi-Wan. And together, we will destroy the Sith.
I will join you, Dooku.
In offering to join Dooku, Obi-Wan will immediately contact the Jedi Council to inform them of the events transpiring on Geonosis and within the Senate. The Council dispatches Master Windu along with several members of the Jedi Council to Geonosis to meet with Dooku, rather than the hundreds of Jedi that went to save Obi-Wan. Meanwhile, Padme and Anakin arrive on Geonosis, unaware of Obi-Wan's deal with Dooku. Infiltrating the droid factory, they are ultimately stopped by Jango Fett. This time, wishing to be subtle, Count Dooku orders Fett to kill the pair immediately, rather than take them prisoner. Anakin defends himself from Jango's attacks with the Force, instinctively deflecting the blaster bolts with his hands, but Padme isn't so lucky, shot down by a droideka. In a moment of rage, Anakin unleashes a wave of Force energy, destroying a portion of the droid factory and seemingly killing Jango Fett. Rushing to Padme's aid, he finds her critically injured and takes her back to her ship, fleeing Geonosis and hoping to find aid on Coruscant. Obi-Wan and Dooku sense the rage from Anakin and go to investigate, finding the droid factory in shambles. Knowing that Anakin was here, Obi-Wan seeks to leave and help his Padawan. Dooku counsels him that the galaxy is about to become a much more dangerous place, as the Sith Lord's plot unravels, then convinces him to stay as Windu and several of the Jedi Council arrive. Laying out the Dark Lord's plans, Dooku requests that the Jedi aid him in striking against Coruscant to dissolve the Senate, being keen as to not reveal the true face of the Chancellor. The Jedi Council agree that action is needed, but as the meeting adjourns, Republic assault ships begin to descend on Geonosis. The Clone War has begun. The Battle of Geonosis goes similarly, but this time, the Jedi fighting with the droid forces against the Republic's clones. A couple members of the Jedi Council perish in the fighting, as Windu and Dooku escape to a waiting droid control ship. Arriving on Coruscant, Anakin goes to Chancellor Palpatine, seeking medical aid for Padme. Hours later, despite the best efforts of Republic medical personnel, she dies with Anakin holding her hand. Feeling tremendous guilt at being unable to protect her, Anakin vows revenge against the Separatists, Dooku, and Mace Windu. Mere hours after the Battle of Geonosis, the Holonet has played footage of the Jedi fighting Republic clone troopers. News commentators paint a clear picture of the Jedi as traitors, while Chancellor Palpatine publicly urges calm. Outside the Jedi Temple, Protests mount with public frustration of the Jedi reaching a boiling point when one protester scuffles with a temple guard. A passerby fires a holdout blaster at the guard, triggering the guard to ignite his lightsaber in defense. The offender with the blaster is killed, but the image is enough to ignite pandemonium. Days after the Battle of Geonosis, many Jedi across the Republic flee to Count Dooku on Sereno. Dooku convinces many to lead his droid forces against the Republic. The Separatists would see remarkable success with their droid forces led by the Jedi, but the mass killing of living beings, rather than droids, would bring many Jedi closer to the dark side of the Force. For the Republic, the initial months of the Clone Wars were marked by significant retreats from several systems in the Outer Rim, as the core worlds were reinforced. Yet Anakin Skywalker, now leading a group of loyalist Jedi called the Republic Knights, begins to lead clone forces on successful offensives to take back vital territory. For the Jedi in Sereno, Skywalker becomes known as a Jedi killer, killing many Jedi like Kit Fisto, Adi Gallia, and even Dooku's apprentice, Asajj Ventress. Notable differences from the main timeline in the Clone War include Grievous not receiving any training from Dooku, serving as a generic general in the Separatist army. Darth Maul would remain in obscurity on Lothal Minor, since a Jedi Dooku wouldn't seek to recruit Savage Opress. And finally, Mandalore would descend into civil war early, when Duchess Satine is killed. This ultimately leads Mandalore to joining the Separatists under Death Watch leadership. The Clone War leads up to the Battle of Coruscant, where Dooku and the majority of the Jedi Knights stage a raid on the planet to arrest Chancellor Palpatine. Moments before the Jedi enter the Chancellor's office, Palpatine reveals to Anakin that he is a Sith Lord, having worked to benefit the Republic. Anakin faces a moment of indecision, but his resolve hardens as the Jedi enter the office. Anakin has fought this war both for the Republic and for revenge of Padme's death. Now is his time. Joined by a pair of Republic Knights, Anakin works to defend the Chancellor in a ferocious duel against several Jedi Masters. Meanwhile, Dooku and Mace Windu approach the Chancellor. "Chancellor, you're under arrest." "It's treason, then." Palpatine flips into action against Windu and Dooku in a ferocious duel against the Jedi Master and his former apprentice. Several minutes pass as the two groups fight, with Anakin slaying all but Masters Plo Koon and Obi-Wan Kenobi. The other Republic Knights didn't fare better, having been defeated early on in the fight. The fight between Palpatine, Dooku, and Windu progresses into the Chancellor's main office, where Palpatine is disarmed. Palpatine looks to Dooku, and in that moment, Windu realizes that he's been played. He moves his lightsaber up to block an attack by Dooku, but it's too late. Palpatine raises his hands and unleashes a torrent of Force lightning into Windu's back. Dooku steps back as Master Windu is thrown through the window by the power of the attack. Together, the two Sith Lords move against the remaining Jedi and unleash lightning upon them. Against one Sith Lord, Obi-Wan Kenobi might have been able to deflect the lightning, but against two he stood no chance. Both Jedi die within seconds, leaving an exhausted Anakin looking at the devastation and at Dooku. "Now is the time for your revenge, young Skywalker. Dooku here arranged the death of your Padme. Now he stands before you." Dooku puts away his old blue lightsaber that he had been using with the Jedi, and instead goes for his curved Sith blade. Igniting the red blade, he points it at Skywalker before moving to strike. Anakin quickly responds, calling forth Obi-Wan's blade to him to provide an edge in the battle against the seasoned Jedi Master and Sith Lord. However, Anakin is not fighting as a Jedi, but as a warrior, hardened against many other Jedi. He quickly surprises Dooku with a feint before stabbing him through the chest with Obi-Wan's blade. With his own lightsaber, he cuts off Dooku's head. "Good, Anakin, good. Everything is going according to plan." Palpatine makes his way back to his office. Contacting General Grievous, he announces his order. General Grievous, the time has come. Execute Order 66. As you wish. In orbit, with the majority of the Jedi Knights, the droid forces begin their slaughter of their allies. Meanwhile, the Republic forces continue their assaults against the droid fleet. The few living crews, such as Neimoidians, are taken completely off guard and killed by droid and clone forces alike. Back on the planet, Anakin's mind swirls through the thoughts of the last few years, of his actions against his old comrades, and that Dooku and Palpatine were both Sith Lords. Palpatine interrupts his thoughts. The time has come. Join me, Skywalker, and together we will rule the galaxy. Anakin kneels before Palpatine. The Force is strong with you. A powerful Sith you will become. Henceforth, you shall be known as... Palpatine stops, when suddenly he feels the rage swirling within Anakin. Raising his hands, only a brief burst of lightning is released before he's sent flying across the room. Anakin is standing now, his lightsaber ignited, and his eyes glowing in the red of the Sith. You killed her. You led me down this path. You made me kill my friends, Anakin cried out, squeezing his hand as he began to choke the life from Palpatine. Yet his rage clouded his judgment, allowing Palpatine to raise his hands and release a torrent of lightning against him. Taking the full brunt, Anakin released his grip on Palpatine and worked to use the Force to shield himself, but to no avail. Nearly a minute later, Anakin blacked out.
You had such promise. You could have been my successor, my equal. But now... But I may still have some small use for you. I still have enemies to find and destroy. You will do my bidding until I find a new apprentice. And then, Vader, you will be cast aside. Finish him.